The last thing, and this is something I haven't had time to get to because there's so much else going on, but the court hearing was scheduled for March 9. So what do? March 9, Monday, that was the day that the appeal of the outcome of the Sunday ticket class action antitrust lawsuit went to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit for oral argument. And we've addressed this some in the past. Here's a quick refresher. Whenever you get your final outcome at a federal district court, the next level is one of the various courts of appeals. There's one for every grouping. There's 12, 13 courts of appeal circuits. Different states are in each one. West Virginia's in the Fourth Circuit. California's in the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals previously had resurrected the Sunday ticket lawsuit after it was initially filed and dismissed, thrown out of court. Nothing here. You got nothing. Sorry, it's out. Court of Appeals said to the district court, sorry, it's back in. It's back on. And it went forward and it went to a trial. And remember, the verdict against the NFL was $4.7 billion. It would have been multiplied by 3 under the federal antitrust laws. But before it could get to that, the judge threw out the whole verdict, not because of a finding that the plaintiffs had failed to prove liability. There's 2 elements of a case on the civil side, liability and then damages. What the judge found was the damages formula, the damages evidence, the way that the plaintiffs proved their financial harm to the jury, that was flawed and that had to be rejected. Now, the judge could have done that before the trial, but he didn't. He waited until after, and he threw out the whole $4.7 billion. So, yesterday, and here's what happens. You show up for the oral argument, and you find out who the judges are going to be. And it's luck of the draw. And they got 3 judges who had been nominated to the court by Democratic presidents. And look, I know this triggers people, but it's the truth. Anybody that practices law, civil law, knows this. You get a federal judge nominated by a Republican president, very good chance that person is going to naturally favor the interests of business. Not just right now, but through any prior decisions, the body of work that this judge has created, the opinions they write, the orders they issue. Cumulatively, it points to a pro-business philosophy. And the law is very malleable. It's not a formula. It is a maze that has many pathways through the walls. You get a judge who was nominated by a Democratic president, more likely to be pro-individual. And it's just the way it is. Some people don't want to hear that. I don't care. It's the way it is. So the plaintiffs, in this case against the NFL, drew for the appeals hearing 3 judges nominated by Democratic presidents. That's good news. Before you even start, that's good news. And the account at Sports Business Journal from Ben Fisher points to a couple of the judges asking some of the kind of pointed questions that if you're in the courtroom, if you're at the table, if you're waiting to answer questions, or if you're standing there trying not to sweat through your suit, you can tell by the questions where the judges are kind of coming from. And the end result is, doesn't look good for the NFL. Now, that doesn't mean the full $4.7 billion is going to be reinstated. We could see a new trial on damages and damages only with some sort of adjustment to the way that the formula is determined for the jury to consider what the damages are. But this won't be a situation where the jury gets to decide yes or no, the law was violated. The law was violated. The way the NFL structures, prices, and handles the Sunday ticket package is a violation of federal antitrust law, period. And it's continuing. It's continuing. They're just waiting for the reckoning. Let's make as much money as we can, and we'll just wait for the reckoning. Kind of like gambling, but that's a different topic. So we could have a new trial on damages. We could have something. We could have anything. And the NFL will fight and scratch and claw as much as it can. This thing could linger in courts for years. Meanwhile, the Sunday ticket package will continue unchanged until the league has to change it. But the fundamental problem continues to be this. The league has deliberately insisted on a high price for Sunday ticket so that people will be more inclined to say, you know, I live in Pittsburgh. I'd like to watch all the Dolphins games. I don't want to pay whatever the price is, $500 a year, just so I can watch the Dolphins games that are on Sunday afternoon. I'll just watch whatever's on the local Fox and CBS affiliates. And that price was specifically set to create a balance. We want this to work for the Sunday ticket provider. Used to be DirecTV, now it's YouTube TV. And we want this to work for CBS and Fox. They hated Sunday ticket. They resent everything about it. They have to turn over their feeds from their nationwide games to Sunday ticket. And in each market, they lose viewers from CBS and Fox to Sunday ticket. So the NFL is not allowed to do that. That's the thing. I mean, the NFL created a way to have its cake and eat it, but it's not allowed to collectively come together and lean on, dictate to the Sunday ticket provider what the price is going to be. The provider should be able to decide whatever it wants to decide. You know, there was evidence in that case that Apple came in with a proposal the last time that Sunday ticket was up for bid. And I think there was a suggestion of just including it in the cost that people are already paying for Apple TV Plus, I think it is. I have it. I should know what it is. I think that's it. So the NFL mandating and dictating to the Sunday ticket provider what the price is going to be, that created the problem. And one of these days, that problem is going to be solved. But the case has already been around like 10 years. Who knows? Maybe it'll be another 10 years before we finally figure this out. If the NFL ultimately faces a significant verdict, it's going to be appealed. It's going to be pushed. It's going to end up at the Supreme Court. We don't know what the Supreme Court will do. First, they have to take it up, and then they would have to decide on it. But all of this takes time. In civil litigation, the wheels of justice sometimes move very, very slowly. The system at times is overwhelmed. There's a lot of cases. It's just there's delay that is baked into every stage of the proceedings. So for a case that went to trial in June, July of 2024, we're finally at the point here in March of 2026 where there was a hearing on the appeal filed by the plaintiffs. Now we wait for the ruling. And that ruling, if it goes against the NFL, depending upon exactly what it says and what it requires the lower court to do, that's when it's going to get very interesting. And when it goes back to the lower court, it won't go back to the judge who's already shown hostility to the damages calculation because that judge has since retired. So we'll see what happens. But it's a problem for the NFL. And I guess it was good for the NFL that it hit yesterday because there's plenty of other news going on and we largely didn't notice it. And as I said, I haven't even had time to write about it. I hope to later today. But it's something to pay close attention to because in the end result, the good news for consumers, you may be able to get out-of-market games for a lot less than what you're currently paying. And maybe you'll be able to get the out-of-market games only of the teams you want to watch without having to buy the whole thing. Pay that one big flat rate to only watch one game a weekend on the weekends that your favorite team, the team you want to watch, isn't in prime time. So that's where it stands. It's a problem for the NFL. It's not going away. And it could become a significant problem again, a multi-billion-dollar problem for the NFL. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.